You need the Nah, just go.
All right, sips tea. We'll let him start off.
At least ain't a White Claw.
This episode not sponsored by Steve's, but I do love it. So if you guys are watching, hit me up, okay? Anyways, welcome back to our. Well, I guess I can't even say welcome back since this is the first time we're doing this. So welcome to our first episode here, okay, at Aureko Gaming. I'm gonna let my guests introduce themselves. I'm Orlando.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm your host, Eric. So today we're going to be talking about the trailer that ConcernedApe just dropped a few days ago for well, I mistakenly called it Chocolate Haunted-Deer a couple times, but we know that it's in fact Haunted Chocolatier. Okay, looks amazing, right? Kind of very similar to Stardew Valley, but yeah, I mean, what are you guys' thoughts? Like first impressions?
I mean, so I'm excited to play it because I've always related Stardew Valley to Harvest Moon. And I think, you know, this is a very logical next step in the game where, you know, he's kind of taking it in the direction of like Rune Factory, adding in more RPG elements and combat to the game with more fantasy-like feel.
Sure, but so you're thinking like, you actually think this is going to be like a kind of almost like a DLC thing rather than a whole separate
No. I mean, it's going to be like he was saying, you know, it's going to be a whole new game just with like more elements added in. It's not going to be like a small town life anymore. You know, again, it's going to feel more like an RPG with the combat elements. Like you've seen the bow. I think there was a sword and shield that he was using in there. Bow.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't see
the screenshots yet? Did you catch that?
Yeah, I had a bow. I think it's like in the inventory in like the bottom left. I don't know if he shoots it, but
he does actually in the gameplay video. You see him shooting some.
I have a feeling that I probably watch like trailers and gameplay videos the same way that people watch my videos on this channel. So like,
just let it play in the background.
I just kind of like watch 30 seconds and I'm like, oh yeah, I know what's going on. No, I'm kidding, but I know I did miss the bow thing though.
Okay,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, I'm just hoping that maybe they add in some magical elements to it too, since it's more fantasy-like, you know, because I think that would be a really good direction for the game as well.
Really, I kind of like. I mean, you guys are big on Stardew Valley, right? You guys put in a bunch of hours into that. I kind of like. I'm hoping that it's kind of similar to that in the sense that, like, I really liked how in Stardew Valley the whole magical aspect of that is just kind of. Oh man, I know I'm really like stumbling here for words, but it's
well, sort of. Well, I was just gonna say, like Stardew Valley, you know, it's supposed to be like anti-corporate kind of, you know, it's kind of nostalgia. He's in the village, and there's like a little fantasy element.
Small town life idea alive.
Yeah,
like really, you're supposed to be against the corporation, but this one has a more modern feel to it. I don't know like how well you guys paid attention to the video, but like for example, when you see the bar scene with them. Like they're playing pool in there. You can hear in the background trains and cars passing by. So it takes place in a little bit more of a bigger city, I feel like, you know? And I think at one point too, you even hear like one of the female characters ask the main protagonist, like, how does it feel like the feeling from moving from a big city to here?
So that's a lot like, I mean, the premise of Stardew Valley itself though. Yeah, right. Like, I mean, how many characters, you know, you got Penny and like all the chicks in Stardew Valley are like, oh my God, I've never seen a person from the city. They're from fucking Mars, you know? Like, but I mean, like, just going back to the magic thing, right? In Stardew Valley, it's kind of like the world or the inhabitants of the world, except that there's some sort of magic going on, but you really don't or aren't led to believe that it's magic, right? Yeah. It's just sort of, oh yeah, this is just how the world works. You know, like you go outside onto the street and you see you know, it's like turning dark because it's already dusk, and you see a witch flying, you know, on her broom, and you're like, oh man, time to go home. You know, gotta stay safe for the night. But it's just like normal. It's not like acknowledged.
Quirky wizard who lives, you know, over there somewhere, and he doesn't really do anything, but you know, he's kind of
sand dungeons and all the other monsters and dragons that swarm.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like if it was going for that sort of approach to magic, it would be kind of cool. And it does kind of feel like that because you guys watched that part where he has like kind of, they look like Boos from Mario, right?
Yeah.
He has the little ghosts. that are setting up shop for him and like just, oh yeah, you know, just a regular day on the job, just fucking ghost selling my chocolate that I made in my, you know, in my yard, you know.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm excited for that element just because like I want these indentured servants.
Wow.
Because I think it'd be so much nicer because like, you know, like back in Stardew Valley running the farm, I know I made sure I chose my wording there very
yes, carefully. I know how you are with your words.
But anyways, just because, you know, in Stardew Valley, the farm is extremely large at a certain point, and you know, it can take a considerable amount of time to do all of your chores around the farm before you start to go off of it. So like, I feel like in Haunted Chocolatier, the fact that now you have assistants that can run the shop for you, so it gives you more time to go out and to explore and gather those ingredients and, you know, tackle more of the combat in the game, which is the point of this one, you know, is so much more important.
And there's also like the recipes and stuff, because it talked about like how you can go and get more recipes to make better chocolates, which will probably sell in the shop, and then, you know, upgrade your shop and decorate.
So that kind of goes into what you were telling me about the kind of him trying to make this an RPG, well, more of an RPG.
It is. I mean, that's the direction he's heading for, I would say.
Yeah.
It looks like you'll be able to like upgrade the shop and, you know, probably, I don't know if it's like one set location and then you upgrade and upgrade, because it seemed like to me is like you have the chocolate factory and that's probably like the castle or whatever where you're going to explore, and that's probably where
like a hub
like,
world.
Yeah, like kind of like
where
you go to
like
the different
Willy
locations.
Wonka's factory over there.
Yeah.
And your Oompa Boompas.
And then like during the day you have the shop, and that's probably what you're like, you know, you get your resources from. And
right. So like kind of touching on both of the points that you guys made. I mean, if we're going with that sort of where you're hoping that these ghosts kind of do things for you, like you just set tasks for them to complete. I mean, that's kind of like almost touching on what we kind of try and do when we play Minecraft, right? Like you're just kind of trying to, you know, like the ghosts being, you know, I guess the equivalent of like Redstone, where you're kind of trying to have them automate tasks so you can focus on something different.
See, but I feel like with the ghosts, it's going to be, I mean, you only have one person working on this, first of all. So it's going to be very more simplistic. It's going to be direct tasks only, where you set it and they already have their given duties, you know? Whereas with Redstone, there's way more possibility.
I mean, yeah, but that's the thing. It's like you said, it's one dude.
I think it's closer to like I said, Rune Factory, whereas like you can go out and you can have monsters join your farm and kind of like water the plants, harvest them, plant seeds, where they have very specific tasks they have to do. Like again, because I feel like he's always been very inspired by that series.
I'm nodding along to everything that you're saying. I've never played Rune Factory though.
I mean,
you said
amazing.
You mentioned it's similar to Harvest Moon.
It's a spin-off of Harvest Moon.
Oh, it's a spin-off. Okay.
Yeah.
So only thing I really know about Harvest Moon is that there's like 30 games. So
yeah.
I mean, that's about it.
I mean, Harvest Moon is basically like the blueprint of Stardew Valley, you know, get married,
that's what
have
I've
a
been
family.
saying, because I mean, it's always felt very inspired by that.
Yeah.
You know, and the heart and the concept of the idea, which I always feel like this was a natural next step for him from Stardew Valley to Haunted Chocolatier, to kind of go from Harvest Moon to Rune Factory. It just feels right.
Okay. And then the other point that I was going to touch on is what Chris said about the factory. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. I think that's a cool concept, because I thought the same thing, that really, if you watch the trailer closely, I think it's like closer to the end, you see where there's like a small cutscene of the character, I guess the main character, unlocking like a door somewhere inside of the factory. And on the other side of the door, it's kind of like what Super Mario did, right? With Super Mario 64, with like you jump into a picture, you jump into a painting, and you get transported to this. Except I think you're actually, I think that's how it like functions. The factory is kind of like a hub world with these paintings, or these, I guess, hidden doors that you can unlock, right?
In order to areas to collect ingredients or something. I mean, that'd be a nice concept.
But I think the difference is that once you step through them, you're not transported to like, you know, a kind of like a slice of a much larger, different dimension. I think you're literally it's like a quick teleport kind of system.
Oh yeah.
Which
I could see it being like, you know, the different things, and then like how Stardew Valley, how you upgrade the town, where, you know, view the community center, or even like repairing the beach, the bridge on the beach. I could see the factory having like that, where, go out and collect 1,000 stone, or have your ghost minions collect the stone and then unlock a new room, which unlocks a new, something like that.
I'm sure this is going to be another game where it's based off of time, like the time clock in the corner. So that way you only have so much time before nightfall hits and your character has to sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
Only so much energy. So, these quick travel points would make everything so much easier to get around. And I'm sure that's a concept that he's enjoyed in his previous game and that he'll use again.
So is that all you're going off to, or basing your idea that it's probably going to include that? Or like, why are you thinking, do you just think that that's kind of like a thing, a mechanic of every single one of his games that he tries to put in there?
I think that's a mechanic in most small town games.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
where basically you base it off of, especially like farming types of games.
It's a thing in Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, Rune Factory, Stardew Valley.
But if you think about it, in those, like all the games that you're mentioning are
they're small town games.
They're small town games, but they're also farming simulators, right?
So in an aspect,
So you kind of have to have that in there. Whereas
the day and night cycle and the season cycle, and I agree with that.
Here, I mean, you're still sort of, I'm sure you'll be farming a little bit for some of the resources. I
think he's leaving the farming aspect of it.
So I feel like with that, he might actually
factory though. So he definitely could leave that cycle, but it seems very focused on characters as well. And like what they'll be doing at different times throughout the day and where they will be and what they're doing.
Sure.
And in that aspect, I think he'll still include the time block to make the city feel alive. Like people are moving around and they're doing stuff all day. They're not just going to stay in one area like an NPC and only like sell stuff at the shop and then close it and you never see them again for the rest of the day. Like they're going to be out and about doing their errands throughout the day.
Sure, but well, okay, backtrack. What do you mean though? Because Stardew Valley kind of worked like that too, though. I mean,
that's what I mean. That's why it was based off of a time.
Right, but you're saying that like they're not like going to disappear. I mean, in Stardew Valley, technically, they didn't really disappear. Okay, like
they didn't exactly.
In nighttime, it was still like you could go into most of their houses,
especially if you befriended them and stuff.
Yes, and then especially if you had like the post game whatever key from the I think Ginger Isles it was, where you can go into any building at any time of day. Yeah.
See, so it's kind of what I'm saying, and I agree with that aspect. But that's why you need that time clock because otherwise, they'll be locked into doing specific things only. Whereas with this, they're doing different errands throughout the day, and that way it gives more life to these characters because he's always seemed to be big on the personality of his cast, basically. And he added a lot more diversity, I feel like, to this one as well, which is very nice.
Well, Chris, weren't you saying though that you read a tweet or something, he was trying to stay away from kind of focusing on relationships, or am I just like misconstruing what you were saying?
I think, I remember in the trailer, it did show that like you can still like gift, you can still gift people something because there's, I don't know, he puts a present on the ground and he, talks to her or whatever. I don't know if that's hinting at like, oh, he's still gonna have like the marriage system and all that. I don't remember if it was, I think he was trying to say it was more supposed to be more of the RPG elements and maybe less of the, not that Stardew Valley was like a dating simulator, but it had a lot of like that kind of,
it had those elements.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's still gonna be like the friendship system and probably like the marriage system and stuff, but I think you're supposed to be kind of going more out on your own and stuff. And then of course you are recruiting, making friends and probably getting perks and stuff. And
so it's kind of okay. So because I'm wondering like actually how many perks like there are to that, or if he's trying to kind of, like you said, through making it less of a focus, that it's kind of there, it's fully fleshed out like it was in like the social mechanic between, or the relationships you can build between in-game characters, that it's like still there, fully fleshed out, maybe even more so because one of you guys mentioned that cutscene. Oh yeah, you were talking about where the girl is like asking him about the big city or whatever in the trailer. Yeah. And like you have multiple options, and I know Stardew Valley, depending on I guess the event, because you had the 3 heart events and then the 7 or whatever it was for each character, right? You had the different heart events. Some of them let you choose a different option as well, but they didn't. I mean, they didn't lead to anything except you either gaining a heart, not gaining a heart, or losing a heart. Basically, those are the only three options, depending on what choice you picked. So I wonder if it's going to be.
It was pretty obvious which option to take. I mean, there's like a horrible option, and then there's
you're like, don't be a jerk.
You know what? Maybe I'm a little dumb, but some of them, no, like sometimes you would have like two options where you're like, man, oh man, that is so tough. Do I want to give her 2 carrots for her birthday? Or do I want to give her brother 3 carrots for his dad's birthday? Oh man, but like something that's like really fucking close, and it was like really tough to actually decide. But you knew it was like between those two, and it was like either you pick one and it's like amazing, or you pick the other one and it's like, just doesn't do anything. And the bad option was always like, oh yeah, do I want to run over your grandma for for $12 at the gas station? Like.
They had cars.
So or sold a Jojo Mart,
I mean, I think there was a bus, maybe.
Unreleased Stardew Valley DLC over here confirmed.
Who do you think the ghost in Chocolatier is? It's got to be,
Oh my God!
Wronged in the previous game.
The ghost.
It's
yeah.
And listen, that is not a drug reference, guys.
Okay, you say so.
No, but so I wonder if it's gonna be, like more expanded on that, right?
Again, I think he'll expand into it more, but I don't think it'll be a main focus like you were saying before. It's flushed out there if you want it, and it's a nice takeaway from the combat and the hustle of like making your factory and your
hustle gang, homie.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a nice takeaway. So you can build up those relationships, and I'm sure there will be perks to them. Like, I don't know, maybe someone will give you a blueprint to a new recipe, to maybe factory parts, so you can mass produce something.
Sure.
You don't know.
Yeah. Well, like in Stardew Valley, everybody knew your grandpa except you, apparently, because
right.
You didn't even
as in real life, right?
Yeah, yeah. So in this game, I'm wondering, like, is it whose factory is this? Is this? I think maybe in the FAQ you mentioned it's like your uncle's factory or something you're inheriting, or like long dead relative or something. But like the people are all excited about the chocolate like coming back, So it's
somebody
like
you've never met in your life that decides to give you their entire fortune.
So I'm sorry to cut you guys off, but really this whole like Stardew Valley Haunted Chocolatier universe seems to be like a dude who just who works for like Amazon at an entry level position, like completely like. What's the term? Not ignorant, but like completely oblivious to the fact that his family is like full of billionaires, like millionaires who have like
all these like chocolate moguls, pharma operators.
Yeah, like they're just like got this whole like monopolized the system of like producing chocolate, I guess. And they're like all apparently mystical like warlocks and stuff. Like I don't know.
Like going back to like Stardew Valley, like looking at that farm, like your grandpa ran that place into like the ground.
Yeah,
like, literally. There was trees growing everywhere on the farmland, bushes, twigs, rocks. Yeah. Like he did no maintenance, man. There was like he gave you no cows, no like there was no farm animals, like no crops.
Listen, it's because he was dedicating the last like effort from his like being, to come back and haunt you every single year on
and
the
judge
new year. Like
I mean, all I'm saying is mogul is kind of it's a high pedestal to put him on when these guys didn't do nothing. You went there, you took it over. Don't take away credit from your character. That's all I'm saying.
But didn't they do anything? I mean, look, most people for New Year's expect like maybe like some fireworks, a kiss, on the hour, right? You get to be haunted by ghosts of your grandpa. Come on, dude. That is. Like,
I don't know. I think he's pretty smart. He sat on like 50 acres of land, didn't pay any taxes, and the city didn't like repossess it. I mean, he was doing something.
And also, like, I mean, okay, I guess your grandpa technically dies like right at the beginning of Stardew Valley, right? So it's not like this farm was abandoned for like decades, right? But you arrive there and it kind of feels exactly like that. Like everything's just a piece of crap. Like there's just garbage all over, right?
Like, did it take 10 years for you to get this notice?
And then the best thing is that literally everybody in town knows your grandpa, even like the little kids, right? All the little kids knew your grandpa, but nobody's like seen him or been to his farm. They act like, oh my God, it's so nice that somebody's finally going to take care of this farm, for the first time and since like 1912.
Ever.
And I was amazed. Like, this is an old man living on a farm by himself, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and no one helped him out. Like, come clean up, man, anything. They just let him die alone in his house.
He didn't need the help, bro. He was a mogul.
That just tells you we live in a society, man.
I mean, no wonder all these spirits are trapped to these locations,
bro.
man.
Society
it's all this regret afterwards holding them back.
Yeah.
Okay, but shifting back to chocolate haunted deer. Of course, that's what it is. ConcernedApe is gonna absolutely have to like switch his name after this episode drops. I mean, he's gonna go like quiet for like
all that
months.
blowback. I mean,
he's gonna be awfully quiet. But yeah, let's just shift back to that. Because really, I was kind of hoping what I started off this episode with about it being a DLC to Stardew Valley, and I think we talked about this a little bit, which is that I think that would be I just think that would be a better strategy in terms of marketing and sales.
I don't think so. No, because marketing and sales, first off, Stardew Valley has such a huge following and so many people that love ConcernedApe that when he produces a new game, they're going to buy it. And they'll buy it at full price of the new game. And the thing is for the world itself, it seems to take place in a very different type of setting. Like I said, like Haunted Chocolatier feels much more modern. I don't think there's going to be as much of a farming aspect to it, as compared to like the chocolate shop or factory or whatever this place is going to be. Like I said, like you see like a fully fleshed out bar with, like a city that's well developed with, cars passing by, trains, whatever the transportation there is. So it feels more modern than this small town life. It's still a smaller town, but it just feels more well developed. And I just don't feel like it fits in the same aspect as Stardew Valley.
So, I mean, I'm sure you guys watched my Eastward review, or at least 5 minutes of it, like everybody else did.
No, all 25 minutes.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know
1.2 speed.
True supporter. Whoa! Wait, what was it? 1.2.
1.2
speed. How do you even get 1.2 speed on YouTube? What? Well, listen, I know you guys watched the whole thing. But honestly, that scene from the Haunted Chocolatier trailer where they're in that like bar and there's like a train passing by it or something. You know what I'm talking about? It's like dark, kind of like dank, like little pool, whatever thing.
Like a hole in the wall kind
of thing. That legit reminded me of Eastward. And like you guys know, I didn't hate the game. I wasn't a big fan of it by any means, but I didn't hate Eastward. The graphics almost kind of reminded me of that. And so I wonder too, if the whole aspect of this chocolate factory being, because I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming that it is in the city, right? It kind of looks like one of those like massive industrial buildings that you see like.
I mean, I would say yes, but the thing is from the conversation in the video that he has with some of the other villagers, I mean, you can understand that this place isn't like a downtown area, like not a hub. Like it's
like the outskirts of a city.
Probably.
Not even like not like suburb, but like just kind of away from, I guess, the really, really densely populated area.
Yeah, like I wouldn't consider it like a completely rural area.
Right.
Like where there's farming going on everywhere, like everyone there owns their own farm to like support their well-being. Like this is a little bit, I would say probably almost closer to a suburb, just not close to a city.
So if that is, if that is the case, which it kind of seems like it probably is, I guess it would make sense why maybe it is more like what I was talking about with Super Mario 64, right? Where maybe indeed you do have to use these, I guess, whatever, mystical doors, I guess.
Paintings or doorways, yeah.
Yeah, to teleport to these other areas for resources, because you might not be able to get there by foot, or just in the overworld, if you will, right? In which case I guess that would make sense. But also the point I was making is that, I mean, visually, if it is going for like a more, I guess, dense or sparse kind of urban feel, then I guess that's differentiated from Stardew Valley, and it wouldn't really make sense to to be a DLC of Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
But originally what I was talking about with it being DLC is that I think it would work well if like it kind of did a similar thing to what Animal Crossing, what was it, City Folk for a week?
Yeah, City Folk.
Which you still never returned to me. But
I gave it back to you like a year ago.
Recorded. He never it's been like 15 years, y'all. Okay.
The Wii don't even work anymore.
Probably. Bro, mine does. Well, both of mine do.
I don't even think the game came out 15 years ago.
Okay, so whatever. You know what?
You know he's being dramatic.
Listen, I'm not being overly dramatic. Okay, I'm just want my $5 Wii game back. Okay, that I'm never gonna play anyways.
Have a Wii?
Yeah, it works. It's
all your villagers forgotten you. Your town's covered in weeds. Like
I got that. Listen, I got that original Wii. Okay, I got the GameCube, little controller ports on top, and the it's good. Okay, it works. Go buy one if you don't have one. I don't know why you would. Like now when there's a Switch, and like just do it. Okay, it's good. I like the Wii.
I mean, now with New Horizons coming.
Okay, so back to this. Okay, wait, New Horizons. What do you mean?
Hold on, we're on Chocolatier.
What was I even saying? So, anyways,
like the city folk aspect, like going to the big city.
Yes, that it takes place in a more urban area.
So in City Folk, you get to like take the train to the city. Yeah, is what I was getting at. And if you did something like that, so it's not like that it's a DLC and it completely breaks the original game, right? It just sort of like where it's taking place in the same world, but it's completely separate. But it would be nice as a DLC because it kind of lets the existing player base of Stardew Valley return to that setting and do stuff in that world whenever they want. And maybe if it was something like that, you could have this aspect of, like you were saying, the day passing like it normally does in Stardew Valley, normally passing in Chocolatier.
Mm-hmm.
Haunted Chocolatier, guys, go get it when it's out. No release date, but go get it. It's going to be good. So if the day passes normally in Haunted Chocolatier, I got it right that time. Haunted Chocolatier, like it does in Stardew Valley. I'm going to say Haunted Chocolatier like 5 more times so I don't forget how to say Haunted Chocolatier, because I'm going to forget how to say Haunted Chocolatier. But if the day passes in Haunted Chocolatier like it does in Stardew Valley, then in Haunted Chocolatier, I think that was 5, it would be a cool element if it was a DLC, because then you could do things in the Haunted Chocolatier area while time is passing in Stardew Valley. So you're kind of, and that would also kind of force you to make different choices as well, right? I mean, it would add replay value to both games, I feel like, in the sense that, like, you can't grab and do all these things all at once in the same time frame, right? Like you make choices in Stardew Valley as well, right? If you're doing something one day, you might not have time to check out the traveling merchant.
I mean, that's true as well. And I'm sure there's going to be those aspects to the game. And I mean, I definitely feel like both games can take place in the same world.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, for it to be like a DLC of the other just doesn't feel right to me.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it won't be, right? Well, like, no, I think we can all agree on that. But
I already said that he's using a slightly different engine and stuff. So some of the stuff he's trying to do might not even be possible, like based on like the Stardew Valley engine. He says he's reusing some bits of code, but like he's using a different engine, so it's kind of
But didn't you also say? I mean, okay, if with that kind of out of the way, I feel like that definitely makes it, kind of straightforward that no, this is definitely not like 100% not going to be DLC, right? Mm-hmm. But didn't you also say that he came out and said that it does all take place in the same, universe?
Because I feel like I even looked it up, and he said that he doesn't want to spoil anything yet, so he hasn't disclosed. So maybe. Yeah, so he hasn't disclosed whether or not it does. So he said maybe, maybe not. I mean, I'm sure he's kind of still in the process of going through everything to see. I mean, I'm sure there might be some nods to Stardew Valley, but I don't know if it's going to be, like the same world.
But you look at, all the similarities, right? In terms of design, partly, sure, right? We already discussed that. It's like art style, kind of shifting a little bit into something more, densely populated.
I mean, what I like too is, from what I've seen, at least, it wasn't quite as colorful as Stardew Valley. It seems a little bit darker, but for the haunted aspect, I kind of like that.
I don't agree necessarily. Like so what I was getting at with the crossover with kind of similarities, right? You're still fighting slimes, and they look exactly like slimes in Stardew Valley, right? Which, one monster, okay, a lot of games have slimes. Minecraft has slimes. Literally every JRPG ever pretty much has slimes as like the most basic monster.
Dragon Quest, it's their icon.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you're talking about the world being kind of darker and not as colorful. Look at the area where he fought the slimes. It's literally like the brightest shade of green. Like it's almost hurting your eyes
almost
of how bright
but that's kind of like once you leave the city area, the urban area, I feel like it's a little bit more darker.
Oh yeah, well I agree with that. I mean that's what I was talking about Eastward about, right? Mm-hmm. Because in Eastward it's kind of similar to that. Like I mean, some of the towns are very like vibrant and beautiful, but in general, I mean, there's a concise kind of focus and effort to making the heavily inhabited, kind of densely populated areas look much worse than the like beautiful areas of nature, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
well, he actually says I'm on the website right now, and he says if Stardew Valley channeled the energy of the sun, he wants Haunted Chocolatier to channel the energy of the moon. So kind of.
Yeah, and that's kind of the feeling I got off of it,
Bro, he is he's definitely a Libra, bro, or a Sagittarius, bro. He's into that cosmology for sure. I was about to say cosmetology, okay? But then is it astrology? Bro, wait, is it astrology or is it astrology?
Bro.
Listen, Illuminati confirmed. Let's put a triangle up here.
Yeah.
So
I thought you were gonna say he's a true artist, though. Artiste.
He is an artiste of the highest caliber. Okay, listen. I'm not biased or anything. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, his name is Eric. So I mean, he just.
Well, listen, that's what I was gonna say. I'm not biased in any way, right? Because I mean, in what way could I possibly be, right? I'm just a gamer who loves games, right?
I mean, it's not like you have like 600 plus hours in Stardew Valley either,
no.
I mean, not biased.
No. Well, listen, I'm not biased, but I mean, I just think that dudes who may or may not be named Eric just might have that artistic nature about him. Okay, I did that, and just to repeat, I know I'm a little bit far from the mic. I did say artistic, not autistic.
Sure you did.
Listen. I just did a review of Sheepo, which nobody's gonna buy and nobody cares about either. Shameless promotion, self-promotion there.
Click
and the guy who did the music for Sheepo, okay, Eric Thompson. So I'm just saying, go give Eric Barone your money, okay? And maybe I can email him later or something. No, I'm just gonna mail him actually, because who knows when the game's coming out. So I don't care. I could just.
Hey, I mean, maybe if this does well, you could be like, hey, I'll be a test player. Like I'd love to try to get into some beta gameplay. For
as long as you don't make me play the beta on PC, okay?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Listen, Chris, I'm sorry.
Actually, didn't he say that it's coming out on PC only, and that he's going to try to port it to consoles later on?
Yeah.
So it's going to be PC only at first.
Well, because
I'm kind of sorry for
he does all the coding for PC, and then he gets he gets a Chucklefish to help him with all the ports and stuff. So so you might have to eat those words.
I think so. I think he's gonna have to eat those words.
I think this is a great place to cut this off. Leave a like, subscribe. No, okay. I mean, so I figured that it's gonna come to PC first. I just didn't think it was that big of a concern, because it kind of sounds like like obviously most of it. I think most of his games, Stardew Valley for all the consoles is published by Chucklefish, isn't it?
Yeah. He made the original PC port, and then he got Chucklefish and a couple other people to help him with like the mobile port, all the console ports. So with the Switch last one.
Yeah, so I assumed that's going to be the same thing with this one, but I was also kind of assuming that based on the fact that Stardew Valley was kind of a passion project of his, and he did not expect. Well, I mean, I'm assuming he didn't expect it to blow up the way that it did, right?
I mean, but I'd call this another passion project of his as well. This is something that he said himself that he wants to dedicate his time alone to, that he doesn't want to bring any outside help, at least not yet.
I mean, sure, but at this point, that's like Jeff Bezos saying that, that he wants to just focus on selling books again, because that's his passion. Like, and not to shit on Eric Barone, but like, If
I thought you meant Jeff Bezos.
no, him you definitely can. Okay, screw Jeff Bezos. Unless you're watching, please like and subscribe.
I don't know. Jeff Bezos put out an a MMO. It's not too shabby. So
listen.
I agree with that,
guys. If any of you play New Worlds, okay, and you need I was about to say clan. If you need a company. The Cobalt Calypso boys got you. It's actually just Cobalt Calypso.
Hey. Wait. What world does that take place in? And then
Orifena, not Orifice, Orifena.
Oh, okay. American Northeast server?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Why?
Oh, no reason. Go on. What were you saying about
Jeff Bezos and Eric?
Bro, listen, I don't trust anybody who's that bald. Okay, you can be bald. You can be bald. Yeah. I'm not discriminating just because I got braids. Okay, you can be bald. You can't be that bald. You can't be that bald and have that shiny of a head. Okay, because that is looped up and he's probably mic'd up all the time. Okay, just waiting to say something skating about. I don't know where this is going. I'm just gonna
Lex
stop.
Luthor isn't here or there. Okay.
You know what? But I would prefer Lex Luthor over this guy. Okay, unless you're watching, please like and subscribe. Listen, bro, I can game test New Worlds 2, okay, in like 5 years.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, not 2. Anyways, Eric Barone, probably a nice guy. Okay, seems really good at what he does, obviously, because you guys know how many times I've praised him, and not just because his name is Eric. Like, I legitimately think this guy is probably more talented than most of the guys who work for, AAA studios, right? Mm-hmm. Because this guy literally single-handedly managed to do what obviously graphically the Stardew Valley doesn't compare with, something recent like Far Cry 6, right?
Yeah.
But it's so charming and kind of quaint, and graphically it's there, right? It's setting the correct mood, or I guess the mood that he wanted, right? And gameplay wise, I mean, I'm sure there's speedrunners, there's people who look for exploits in games, but as somebody who doesn't play games for that reason, I enjoyed it, and I can't even really think of a single glitch. It's such a sound game for something made by one guy, right? He puts his heart into it. So,
but small town games aren't games you're meant to rush through anyways. There's something you're meant to take your time with. Well, really develop.
Depends, I guess. But
your town, your relationship with other people in the area.
Yeah. But I mean, like we were talking about Cheapo, right? And it's like that is a very, very niche, tiny game that it was also basically developed by one guy, obviously music. But I think Stardew Valley music is also like done by somebody else, right? So we're just talking about the actual game, not the music, not the soundtrack, right? And so Cheapo is made by one dude as well. And I mean, for something that's kind of self-described as a Metroidvania and really focuses on like quick platforming, being in the flow of the game and all that, right? Like it's really a niche game designed for hardcore gamers. And really, if you're not like literally looking at what games are coming out every single day, you're not going to care about this, right? You're going to completely, this is just going to go over
off
your
radar.
Yeah. And so that's designed by one guy for that specific reason. And yet it's much smaller in scale than Stardew Valley. And I'm sure it didn't take him anywhere near as long as it took Eric Barone to develop Stardew Valley. But it's, it has a couple glitches. It's not, it's so niche. And, there's some shortcomings, right? There's shortcomings that even in world building, there's shortcomings that Stardew Valley doesn't have, right? And I think you can say that not just of some, indie game that literally nobody played. By the way, I obviously you guys know I did like Sheeple. But, you can say that not only for that game, you can say that for probably every other or literally 90% of indie games. Yeah, you can't say that for Stardew Valley. And even going to like Chucklefish, right? You can say that about other Chucklefish games. I mean, we kind of hold Chucklefish in this high regard based on what they publish, because they really do publish some great games. But Chucklefish also published Eastward, and that was kind of a mess. There were people who were looking forward to that game for 3-4 years and were more disappointed in it than me because I literally discovered it a month before it released, right? So I mean, I wasn't as emotionally invested, and I thought it was mediocre, but I thought it was was playable, it was passable, and it was really, I liked it because of the fact that the story was so like messed up that it kept me guessing. But it kept me guessing because it made no sense. But like I enjoyed the experience with it. But obviously, it's a mediocre game, and compared to just games in general, right?
I mean, I was gonna say on that point though, like overhyping is a huge problem in the gaming community because, like, I mean, we can speculate as much as we want to on Haunted Chocolatier, and we might excite ourselves for some points that aren't even actually in the game. Like right now, everything is just speculation. So we don't want to ruin, the joy we might feel later from it when we actually get to experience it for the first time.
Mm-hmm. That's I think that's a good point to end on. That's definitely true. And quickly before we get off here, just want to ask you guys. So all of that being said, right? Everything we've talked about, what are not even one, but what are the things you're most kind of looking forward to from Haunted Chocolatier, not Chocolate Haunted Deer? And what are the things that you're looking forward to and that you're really hoping this game kind of addresses based on, I guess, what we've talked about?
I mean, I'm really looking forward to the combat aspect, and I know he said it's going to be single player at first, but I really hope later on he does develop it into a multiplayer game because it's something I'd like to enjoy with friends. Like Stardew Valley had that aspect where you get to farm with friends, and when fighting, like I'd like to have a meat shield blocking, tanking those hits for me while I'm in the back with that bow and arrow.
Yeah, of course. I mean, personally, I'm in the same boat. Of course, I don't know if Stardew Valley, if he planned it only being single player, because of course it was only single player for it was single player for the first couple of years, and of course he was able to get multiplayer in there. But I'm just looking forward to seeing how much he can expand with ideas because he's a really creative individual. Mm-hmm. I mean, he could have just made a simple farming game and just said, okay, there's crops, there's this, but he added all these monsters and all these cool like little quest lines and all the ginger isles and all the stuff in the sewers and all the fishing and stuff like that. So I'm thinking like, with Haunted Chocolatier, I feel like the sky's the limit. He's gonna have some of the pedigree of Stardew Valley with some of the like simpler mechanics, but he can just go off the wall and just hopefully his vision. He can just pull it all together and stuff. I think he can pull it off.
There.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. Definitely the theming looks really cool. A little bit darker theming, a little more. The ghosts and the mystical and stuff, but also the down to earth, local.
Bro, what goats? Thing. Goats are right here, bro, on camera.
Yeah, it. But so we'll see. I won't overhype it, but I definitely think he Stardew Valley kind of, it fit into a mold, and hopefully he can kind of, like everything was great about the game, but hopefully he can really, really stretch what the themes and stuff, and really pull off what he likes. So.
And then, bring in new ideas from there.
Especially with it being, he's pretty much stated, I mean, like I said, the information's still kind of sparse, but how he wants this to be a little more action oriented, a little more, I mean, it's not like a full blown, like, run and gun type game, but it's, he wants it a little more, there's probably going to be some actual like boss fights maybe or something. Who knows? I mean, just that's more speculation, but, a little more gameplay, I guess. So that's exciting to hear,
I agree with both of those points. I think for me, I'm actually not as interested in him breaking out of the Stardew Valley, quote unquote mold. But if he wants to try something different, I think that'd be great. I just don't think, based on the first trailer from him, that's what he's going for. I think sure he's trying to, make things a little bit darker, definitely. I just don't think that he's going to distance himself as much from Stardew Valley as maybe he's leading on right now. If he does, though, I think that'd be fine. Just based on how the game looks after him only having worked on it for like part-time for a year now, I think, right?
Yeah.
It looks amazing. And I think that I'll definitely enjoy just being in that world, regardless of what else, I mean, there is to do there, right? But that being said, I would definitely like for him to expand on the RPG elements. I'm not you guys know me. I'm not the biggest RPG fan out there, but I definitely like games that have at least some sort of leveling, which I guess Stardew Valley originally did, right? But yeah, if there's some sort of RPG elements, and then I really started kind of focusing on what Orlando mentioned. Well, both of you guys talked about the recipes. Yeah. I would love to see that play like a bigger role, like maybe like a construction thing, right? Because from the trailer, it seems like you can set up your shop, but you can't really maybe build as much as you were able to in Stardew Valley.
I feel like you can build more just from like the inside of what looked to be maybe his house.
So I think
like it looks like the indoors of buildings are much more expanded than what they were in Stardew Valley.
I would hope so. I think the indoor areas are definitely more expansive, but I don't know how much of actual like building or crafting there is, right? If there is more than in Stardew Valley, that would be amazing. But I'd like to also see kind of like the original release of the game, or I guess the base game, come out with like about as many recipes as you had in Stardew Valley once everything was, once all the patches and the post game, the Ginger Isles, once everything came out, right? Where you like literally, if you're not like completely invested in this game, you're going to have to look up a guide just to find out how to get all the different recipes that are available. And I think it'd be also cool if those recipes weren't just for construction, but actually some mandatory for progression in the game, which I mean, it's so early on. We don't even have a release date or anything.
If you make it mandatory for progression though, then you have to make sure that it's available to everyone.
Sure.
Because I mean, like hidden recipes, like in that type of game, I think it's always nice for you to figure that stuff out on your own without looking for a guide, Well,
I think hidden recipes would be nice if they were all pretty difficult to find and actually helped you in game, but not like weren't mandatory.
Well, especially for multiple playthroughs, because that's one thing that these games have a lot of replay value, because it's going to be different every time you play it. Different things are going to, I mean, the same game is, the game's plays out the same, but different things happen. You get different crops, you get different animals, you get different, So hopefully with replay value, there might be some hidden, some secret recipes, or there's some
hidden gems in there.
Yeah, some hidden gems.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody's gonna get that, but go play RuneScape, guys. Anyways, so one last thing. Now that we've already self-promoted here like 69 times and threw in like every single review I've ever done and about 10 games that I've never played or did play way too much.
Did you say Alan Wake yet?
Anyways, Alan Wake, go check out my review right here, baby. Here's the link. Real quick, because we didn't touch on this, and he did just release well, I guess it's already the existing music that was in the trailer, but he released that separately, right? I want to touch on that because to me, every time I do a review, I focus in on music as if it's like the only aspect that matters. But to me, like, and I know Chris, you're the same, right? You love like a good OST for a game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it sets the atmosphere, the mood,
Yeah.
It's what really immerses you into it.
Well, we're some of the few people who would be willing to like pay. Okay, I actually wouldn't pay extra, but if it does come with with like a definitive edition or like a digital deluxe or something,
edition,
then I gladly will get that on PlayStation sale.
You have to wait,
right? To get that soundtrack, and so
remember this is PC.
What? Yeah, I really hope too that the music lives up to the hype, right? And this is one thing that I think we can overhype, because usually, and I say usually because we've both played. Well, I'm sure you've played Subnautica Below Zero. Yeah. So I found that soundtrack absolutely garbage compared to the original. But overall, the game is like, it's such a letdown. It was such a letdown for me. But that's a whole different story, right? The point is that sometimes like the original game, or I guess the first game by a studio, has amazing music, the best soundtrack ever. It's like spot on. Every single track is just a banger, right? And then the next game is like, bro, did somebody like guys eardrums out with an ice pick? Like, So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because
That's a whole different story, because a lot of times, that's more so for a cash grab, something quick. They release something out fast.
Oh, sure.
Don't put the heart back into the work. But I think that's something we don't have to concern ourselves with this, because ConcernedApe, he puts his passion into his work.
Like I said, I believe that.
I am confident in his ability.
I believe that, and I hope that's the case, because the music that is in the trailer is, it's a banger. Like, legit, it's a great song that that I hope is kind of in line with everything else in the game. But yeah, if that trailer is any indication, then I think we're in good shape for that. So yeah, hopefully this game gets a release date sometime in the next 3 years. Hopefully before this turns gray, we'll be playing it on consoles, not just PC.
Mm-hmm.
But
that might take a couple extra years.
Yeah, I might.
I look forward to that review in about 5 more years.
That's right. Make sure the 12 of you watching this tune in for that as well. Okay. But yeah. So once again, I'm Eric,
Orlando,
Chris, and thanks for tuning in for this first podcast style thing we're trying to do here at Aureko Gaming. And let us know what you guys think. Comments, concerns, because I'm sure after this dialogue here, you guys have a lot of those. And just leave a like if you like what we were talking about. If you want to see more of this, subscribe. And hope you tune in next time for something like this again. Right now, I'm working on a couple reviews. We're gonna be doing some more indie games for November. And based on how this goes, we might try this again, do this like a once a month thing, depending on what news we're kind of given by different games and
taking an interest in
developers. Yeah. Any last words?
No.
Forward to our next work. You had it good, and you killed it there.
Advertising.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Nothing. We're good.
Okay. Yeah. Subscribe.